Welcome. These will be my thoughts on The Bear, Season 5, Episode 6, Focaccia. The episode's rated TVMA, so this video will be. There will be spoilers for the show leading up to and including this episode, but not for any of the episodes that came out after this one. And yeah, another episode that I loved. Let's dive right in. So I quite like seeing actual guests at the Bear again. It's been a little while. And I'm not sure how many of the chefs would necessarily agree with that sentiment. At least it's a bit bittersweet, basically. Anyway, the yeah, immediately the episode hits the ground running, showing the absolute chaos, and again using that really effective, swift cutting where like at times you're barely able to register what you're looking at before it moves on to the next thing because the details are not important. It is the impression. It is the fact that there are many, many things going on all at once. We're looking at the work of, I don't know what it is, like a dozen people, maybe more, working in that kitchen, all of them working hard. So, yeah. And the, yeah, pretty quickly we're introduced to the fact that they are, I mean, they're behind on multiple things, but yeah, some of the food items is one of them, and they're trying to do the count. And then suddenly Carmi is like, I don't know, Richie told me to get this, just, yeah, unreal. And I think that's when we have the, I think it's somewhere around here that Jimmy is talking about selling his brother's watch and feeling shitty about it. And it's genuinely very funny to me. So Cheese is just trying to cheer them up, just like, I mean, yeah, I'm not sure I've ever heard that saying. I don't know, maybe some people say it, but it sounds like she's just trying to come up with something. This does not appear to be her forte, cheering people up, giving them hope and optimism. Like Computer, she's a very pragmatic person by personality. So yeah, she says something along the lines of, it's hard to be soft. It's harder than being hard. And the others are just not having it all. They are like, what the actual fuck are you saying right now? Like, I see that words are coming out, but they're making no sense to me right now. And then you have the thing about, why are you still here? And she does still have a job there, which I'm happy about. Yeah, I swear, I legit cannot think of one character or actor that has appeared up to and including this episode of this show where I was like, really? They're kind of boring. Like, there's always something. And let's see. I think, yeah, we get another update on the Spoon Thief claimed another 5. Although I suppose it would be a little ironic if one of them was the bait for the Spoon Thief. And I think that's when we, yeah, the thing about, Richie, it genuinely is great the way he is just able to, like, it's not always an ideal solution, but he does really distract the guests from the fact that things are not going as they are supposed to, and the thing about like, oh, it's your anniversary, doctor, knows the names, and how do you remember us? You tell me the secret to 25 years of marriage, I'll tell you my secrets. Like, that's genuinely really charismatic, like under the right circumstances, Richie really does like nail this kind of interaction, and I continue to really appreciate that because he is also in many respects, a perpetual fuck up, and he would be a very boring and frustrating character if he, yeah, if he only had one of those two. Anyway, he wouldn't be frustrating if he was just like always amazing, but he'd be boring. And yes, so that brings us to the yeah. Also, Sid really does run the kitchen incredibly well. You know, you have the thing about the the volume and making sure people don't talk over each other and such. And then Richie comes in there and just he's too loud, he's talking too much, and saying fairly little with a lot of words. And Sid even apologizes. I'm sorry that I talked over you, but please don't talk over me. And I do if the show does not end with her being in charge of the kitchen, then they're really gonna have to work hard to get me on board with almost any other outcome, honestly. But we'll see. I'll see. I can imagine. I think pretty much everybody else has already watched. Uh, anyway, I think that does bring us to the yeah, and then the confusion about, we'll call it table 22. And what will the actual current table 22 be? I don't know, 22 and a half. Richie, if you're taking constructive criticism, I think maybe the new table should be 22 and a half, because like I kept waiting for the rest of the episode. Maybe it's going to happen. There's like, what, 4 episodes left, I guess? Maybe it's going to happen on one of the remaining ones. They're going to fuck up the order. They're going to bring the stuff that's meant for one of those tables to the other one because you just randomly renamed one of, just, yeah. But yeah, clever about the, what was it, like, card table. And, as usual you know, with the facts, you do have to be very specific. So he has to tell him twice, the table is downstairs right now. I would like it up here, please. Oh, that's the wrong way. And, the part where he's just carrying it past Sid, and she's like, I see you. I always see you. What are you doing? Because it's like, did you think that she did? Because he is kind of walking as if, well, if I do not make eye contact, she cannot see me. I am imperceptible to the naked eye. Why is she talking to me? And, let's see, because he is also, we know he really struggles to explain things like remember when he had to tell Nat that he invited Francie. I'm guessing we're probably not going to get to see Francie Fack before, in one of the remaining episodes, but I wouldn't exactly mind. She really just fantastic. I loved the entire argument they had talking over each other, and we get these little tidbits of information from their fallout, and like kind of the more we learn, the more confusing it becomes, the less we actually understand what the fuck even happened and why. Anyway, and let's see, I think that does pretty much bring us to, yeah. And so Richie, having to deal with all these guests and no tables, starts inviting people in. That was such a great, well, where are we gonna put them? So here are some more people for the kitchen. That was wonderful. And then also the part with, how many tables did you cancel? None. And she straight up threatens him and underlines, no, I am not being metaphorical. It is an actual physical, genuine, I am, that is what is going to happen. Just, yeah. And let's see. Yeah, oh, Sid. Okay, so I can appreciate maybe Sid should not have indicated Carmi, as the person to be dealing with the guests in the kitchen, but I also don't know who else she would have. I mean, is she gonna tell Luca? Like, Carmi's kind of being an asshole by asking Luca to do it when he's running two stations. What the fuck? And yeah, the exchange there with Carm. You do that. Yes, I will do that because that is a skill that I possess. So let's start the tour by you remaining standing right where you are. There is a piece of paper in front of you. I think you would find it to be the highlight of your evening if you could read that entire thing entirely to yourselves whilst in general being very quiet. And just immediately the guy's like, oh, it's like that movie. I don't know if you've played the quiet game before. That is against the rules. And yeah, then Luca, has to go over. Yeah, and the thing about, Copenhagen, yes, Copenhagen. And Marcus blows up at him. And I really appreciate him apologizing and them, making up. Love to see this kind of more positive masculinity, healthy masculinity. And also, gotta love the detail that, I mean, Marcus points out that Luca has been catching strays all day. Carmi catches one too. Like, I came here to get away from that. I didn't want to turn into Carmi. Dude, what the fuck did I do? I'm trying to help you by going, getting you here, what, yeah. And yeah, and it does also come out, it is basically the fact that, Marcus feels bad about inviting someone on this day where it's like, because, at this point, like, if they did cancel on his father, that's going to make him look bad. This whole thing is about trying to show that things are going well for Marcus. And yeah, that would not exactly support that message. And let's see. Yeah, the conversation between Sid and Marcus was great. And let's see. Yeah, love the little. One of the things to like de-escalate is she says, the secretary of the Dead Moms Club cannot behave like that. That's, yeah, genuinely really, really great way to help. Yeah, like it's essentially, it's a way to communicate, we are in this together, and she gives him full credit. It's because he's talented. It's not because of the rest of them that he won that award. And right, we also have the bit where let's see, the right, and Carmi pointing out to her, hey, you are doing better than I did. I would have screamed at everyone, which I would just like the record to reflect, I would have said that if Carmi hadn't as well. And let's see, I think it's around there that Cheese starts, I don't know, switching to being in front of the camera to being behind it and just like looking around, which, I mean, I appreciate that you think that. Well, let's see. No, yeah, technically it is Jimmy's building, so I guess maybe that's why she feels like this is, I don't know. I mean, I get that, they need her to find the franchise papers, and then you have the thing, and she wasn't going to steal the fucking spoon. She has spoons at home. But she sees a spoon in a cup and she's like, what? And then she does that thing that we human beings sometimes do when we don't understand something that we're looking at. We just pick it up and look directly at it as if that's somehow going to explain things, like, oh, on closer inspection, this cup spoon makes perfect sense. Obviously. Yes, it's a spoon cup. We all know what those are. And, you know, Ibrahim is so excited, like, spoon thief, I caught you. Amazing. And, you know, she realizes, you know, he says, you know, that's my prospectus. And yeah, I mean, I do think that is going to be how, at least part of the solution for this entire thing, because if they do franchise this, you know, there could be a lot of money in that. Maybe that'll help save the whole thing. And, you know, like at this point, it seems like Ibrahim is not going to bring it to Carmi for, you know, obvious reasons. You know, Carmi, he was about to, and then he heard that Carmi was quitting. And, or has, I suppose. And I think that does bring us nicely to, yeah, so Pete, you know, standing out there throwing away garbage, and Nat comes out, and, you know, is that they are genuinely sweet together. Like, I do buy these two as a couple, you know, and they're about, you know, okay, I have said in the past, and I stand by, Pete is the character on the show that I relate the most to, that I recognize myself the most in. I would like to emphasize that under no circumstances, short of portraying a character or something, would I ever sincerely say the words, I love garbage. Pete, I think the words you were maybe looking for were, I'm just glad to be of service, you know? But that's, yeah, wow. And yeah, the thing about, like, you know, oh, you look good in that shirt is like, you know, oh yeah, this is my, and she's like, I know. And then he's like, you look really good in that garbage bag. Pete, I cannot overemphasize how much you really, really need to stop saying the word garbage immediately. And then things get amorous, which, like, understandable. You know, there's so much stress, and, you know, finally these two have a moment to themselves and each other briefly. And I also really appreciate that, you know, they, you know, the people making this realized we don't really need to see it. Like, it's clear what's happening there. There's absolutely no need to, you know, show it. It's not there for titillation. It's, you know, character. And yeah, I guess that brings us nicely to the part where Sid asks Victoria, you know, so what's the vibe? The vibe? I don't know what vibe you're talking about. I feel like there's a vibe here that is just, yeah. And I mean, Victoria handles it much better than Richie when confronted. And then later, you know, Sid can tell that Nat has, yeah. At this rate, I feel like by the end of the finale, literally everyone working at the restaurant will have paired up with someone else and or had sex. And let's see, I think that does bring us to, yeah, it was quite funny when, you know, so you have the part where Richie realized, you know, I'm here for James Kowalski. You know what? You just missed him. I am so sorry, but there is definitely no way that you two will have any kind of trait. Am I smiling? I'm not. I don't mean to be smiling. I just, you know, you should go home. That's that is definitely what should happen here. Is it horrible that I kind of want to see Jimmy's face when he realizes that? I mean, I don't think Richie should be within punching distance of him when that happens, but I do think it'll be funny. And I suppose that pretty much, I feel like there's at least one more thing that I wanted to, yeah, like the detail that Luca, you know, was like, I lied to you. I did have a McGriddle before. And I think that is... Let's see, you have the, yeah, the dessert thing was also... Because it's like, Richie has to do something, he needs to take care of this situation, and this... Yeah, I guess there's multiple dessert situations, really. And I think that does pretty much cover that entire... I feel like there's something missing. Nice to have an episode of the show where no ceiling and or pipe are breached. It's been a little while. They have enough chaos in the actual guest area, the rest, that part of the restaurant. And yeah, it was also very unfortunate that the outbreak of masculinity in the kitchen took place in front of 4 guests, and it's pointed out, people can hear you in the restaurant. Like, please, we have to get this under control. And Richie comes in, so who's hitting who? And yeah, I think that is everything for this episode. Really looking forward to seeing what happens next. I do think, yeah, I mean, I've already talked some about the details. I can somewhat see how this might end up with, a happy ending, or a happy-ish at least. And right, it was very sweet when Sid said, I think your mom would be proud of you. And yeah, I believe that covers it for this one. Yeah. I already did this bit recently, but screw it. I love that bit. I'm gonna fucking do it again. So when Carmi comes out and he's like, feel like I maybe from inside, it sounded like there was something kind of intense happening out here, and she's like, shit. Who heard me scream? And Carmi goes, everyone in the restaurant. Everyone not in the restaurant.